Good morning. Welcome to healthierlife.tv. My name's Paul Bursey. My co-presenter is
Warren Connolly,
yeah,
coming to you from a very sunny Hungary.
it's very, very hot here as well. Cooling off a little bit after yesterday and the day before,
Oh,
but
okay, that's good.
nearly hit 40. But today's subject: signs that the frenetic pace of your life is getting to you. So that's an interesting subject. I saw it written down, and I thought, we can talk about that. And I think it depends, because one of the first things that came to mind for me, Warren, was that some people can work under pressure, some people can't. Some people thrive under pressure, and others crumble. So, so we're all unique. Where do you stand on that? Because we know we're all different, aren't we? So,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm more one of those people that kind of I leave projects till the lastminute.com kind of thing, and then
like all of us.
that's when I tend to do my best. But I wouldn't really know if I did any better if I did it over a prolonged period of time. But also, like, I'm also one of those individuals that if there's an emergency, like, I've been involved in two cases with fires in a building. I'm the one to take control of the situation and help evacuate people out and things like that. So and in the work environment, similar. If there's an emergency, then I typically tend to put my hand up.
Yeah, I think I looked at it like there's three sort of levels on a sliding scale, and I was just thinking you can either be, frenetic, or you could
Hmm.
be very tranquil, nearly dead, in a nice way. And there's sliding scale. Now I looked at it this way: I'm more like a metronome who keeps plugging away, but do have some frantic, frenzied moments. But what we're more aiming towards, and I think you could go in any direction with this, is the people that live a frenetic lifestyle.
Hmm.
Okay, now we've all been there at some stage, and it feels like probably trying to do 10 things at once.
Hmm.
How do you figure on that? Do you one thing at a time?
Yeah, I'm gravitating more towards that right now in this part of my life. Whereas in the past, I used to be more of, the multitasker, trying to do multiple things concurrently, and but nowadays I'm kind of learning that that doesn't really work. So yeah, I'm as I said, I'm gravitating more towards the one task at a time kind of thing. Complete one thing, whether it's finished or not, just complete what I've got to do and then move on to the next thing.
And I tied this frantic lifestyle down, or you boil it down to how you start your day. Now, is the first hour really important?
It's imperative. Importance not even doesn't even justify how important it is.
Crucial, critical.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. It's
yeah,
imperative. The first
absolutely.
hour of your day is so key to the rest of your day, in my belief. Yeah.
I mean, look, for me now, frenzied effort just doesn't work.
No.
Okay, I have to, I have to do one thing, get it done, move on to the next. If I don't do that, I don't get anything done, and then you end up in a particular day agitated, the fact that you haven't got anything done or completed.
But I can understand why many people do it these days, and there's, from what I see, is a number of factors. One is that it's become a social norm. It's become conditioned within us to jump from one to the next and work frenetically throughout our days. And the other one is that, you know we as a species, we learned how to survive through fight or flight, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And nowadays we don't have any external influenced to have to force ourselves to do that. So we find ways to do that because we have that inherent desire to still feel that fight or flight, because it's so ingrained within our psyche, within our DNA. So we find reasons, and we unfortunately find reasons in the wrong places. Some people find it in drugs. Some people find it in extreme sports, which is not the wrong place, but they find it in extreme sports.
Mm-hmm.
Some people find it in contact sports, full contact sports like rugby, ice hockey, so forth. Other people find it in their workplace. And I feel that's probably the worst place to find the need to, find a place to overcome that need within us, or that not need, but I can't think of the word right now, but let's just say need, for choice of a better word. And I think this is why so many of us do practice like that so often, and to our own detriment in many ways, because it doesn't serve us.
I found a little, I suppose you'd call it a definition of frenetic, and it's got implies severe agitation in a distraught state. And I thought, I remember being at work, and I used to thrive on pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely thrive on it. When I left the place, I absolutely have gone the other way. I don't want any pressure. The challenge you have with that is you can be down the other end of the scale and find it hard to get going.
Sure.
Okay? Whereas I remember I have been at the other end of the scale, where you get overwhelmed, you get exhausted, and you just need peace.
Mm-hmm.
So it's individual for each person, and they have to find their calm, their frenzy, or whatever it is they're looking for, and for me, I'm looking for calm, I'm looking for peace, I'm looking for balanced life, and more like I don't mind injecting a little bit of frenzied, a little bit, but not very much.
Yeah, from time to time.
Yeah, from time to time.
It's necessary, I think, as well. From time to time, it helps keeps us on our toes.
Yeah,
keeps us mentally sharp. Keeps us young in some cases. As long as we don't do it too often, and for prolonged periods of time. This is what happens when you have, for example, it's been used so many times. This example with like NASA. The NASA astronauts, space astronaut, the astronauts and stuff like that, or the military personnel, athletes that are performing in full contact sports. When they leave that environment, they've got nothing else to turn to find that kick. They struggle to find where that kick comes from. So
it's very hard, isn't it? Very hard once you've been to the moon.
So what do? They become depressed. They become depressed, and they start to express themselves in unhealthy ways, because they don't know where else to find that, and also they don't know how to subdue that desire, that drive. They don't know how to, and they don't understand necessarily the need to go and meditate, go out into nature, go do peaceful excursions or places by yourself, solitude. They don't understand that necessarily, because they're not necessarily educated or enlightened about that. No one guides them in that way. So this is where their problem lies. And this is very often the case in society today, especially in the high stress environment of corporate world. It's becoming more and more prevalent. Before, it used to be in North America. North America used to be the exclusive holding of that kind of environment. Nowadays, it's becoming part of the Western world as well. The European world and Africa and stuff like that, where people are terrified to go and leave because they don't know whether they're going to have a job when they come back or not. In some cases. So and because of that, they end up not going on holiday, taking leave, and then they end up staying in there, and they get overwhelmed and overworked, and they can't cope anymore, and life just becomes too frenetic.
Well, and that's the challenge. Yes. Do I like to be moving? Not constantly, I wouldn't say, but I like periods of time where I'm moving, whether it's exercising, walking, or doing something. But I don't want to be doing that all the time.
No.
I think you've got to, as I always call it, roll with the punches and learn that you can relax spend time on your own, or or just at peace. At the same time, you also want to be to be able to let go and do what you need to do. I think it's a flexible lifestyle.
Well, it's adaptation, isn't it? And this is what's helped
Adaptation.
us as a species to survive. We've survived for so long through so many countless catastrophes as a species because we've learned to adapt. And if it wasn't for that, we would be dead, right? We wouldn't be here. You and I wouldn't be having this conversation right now. But we need to also be able to learn not just to adapt to survive, but to adapt to tailor make the life that we want to see around us, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think that when they talked about the fight or flight response, which obviously came from fighting many millions of years ago and all that, fighting saber-toothed tigers and whatever. I still don't reckon that they were as burnt out as we are now.
No, they certainly weren't.
And I think media has got a lot to do with it, and the way we run our lives. I mean, look, nobody wants to burn out. Well, okay, there's two ways of looking at that. Obviously, I'd rather burn out than rust out. But what I'm saying is, you can learn to have a calm life as well. We deal with stress much better. I mean, to be fair, I just don't get stressful anymore. Just don't allow it. I've got a few things happening in my life that are sometimes chaos, but generally speaking, stress doesn't. It's not part of my life now. And exhaustion is not a part of my life now. And I'm not. It could be mental exhaustion. It could be physical. Combination of both. I think it just comes down to who you are or anyone is as an individual.
Just to highlight what you're talking about exhaustion and stuff. Some of you may notice my voice is not quite the same as it normally is, and my energy level is not the same. It's because I've just overcome a fever for the last 3 days, and I think part of the reason why I had the fever was because I haven't been getting as much sleep as I would like to get every day. Consistently, like minimum 7 hours sleep. Yes, I've been getting like about 6 hours sleep a night, maybe 6.5, and then I maybe have a 20 to 40 minute nap during the day, but that's not sufficient enough over a long period of time. And if I was getting enough sleep consistently, I probably wouldn't have picked up the virus or whatever it is that caused the fever. So that's one indication, and I believe that it's part of the reason why I got the fever was because of the fact that I've been having lack of sleep, because all I wanted to do now was just rest and sleep. That's all I could really do.
Yeah, sleep and hydration are my two biggest things.
Yeah.
But okay, so what does burnout mean? I mean, because it affects different people in different way. Now, this is healthylife.tv, so we're looking at it from a health.
Is that the show we're on?
This is what we're aiming at. What can burnout do to you, and how can we improve things? So, what would burnout mean to you?
Well, I picked up a word when doing some work and research into this that resonated with me, and I thought, yeah, that actually makes sense. And the word is overwhelm. Okay, and overwhelm is an emotional feeling. It's not a mental thing. It's not something that you can analyze and scrutinize. You've got to listen to what is your body telling you. What are your emotions telling you? What are your feelings like? And one thing with overwhelm is that we tend to lose perspective and touch with our environment, kind of like the fish. Fish doesn't recognize water for what it is. It lives in water, right? But if you're drowning, you're going to start grabbing for anything and everything that you can grab onto. But if you're overwhelmed, you're not going to, you're going to lose sight of where and what and how. And this is, I feel, what causes. This is probably one of the key words that we can think of and use when we're talking about this, modern day life taking over and us being, just overcome with everything, and life getting to us is this word is overwhelm. It's more difficult to understand and to deal with, which makes it even more stressful for us because it's an emotional thing. All right. So therefore, for many of us, we think logically. So we want to try to analyze it and scrutinize it and put it into a little, especially us men, we want to compartmentalize it and stuff like that. But that's not what overwhelm, that's not how you deal with overwhelm. With the overwhelm, you need to identify, yes, but you need to recognize more than identify. You need to recognize what are the symptoms that you're experiencing in your own life that are indicative of overwhelm. And there's a number of symptoms that most of us are probably experiencing in today's day in life. And I think this is what gets most of us, is we don't see it for what it really is, because we don't take the time to just sit in our own space and quieten the mind and but just allow ourselves to process it from within, and then allow the solutions to come to us. Although we don't need to think about the solutions and try to create a solution for ourselves. We just need to identify by recognizing it for what it is, and then allow that emotion to come through. And especially again, for many men, that's a territory they won't even go down. All right. They won't go down that road. Emotionalize? What are you talking about? I'm a man. I'm not going to emotionalize. Come on. Even though we're in 2022, most men that even I know, or am in touch with, they don't even factor that into their reality, because it's just not part of their identity. But it's important. And this is, I think, why so many people, and men in particular, are experiencing so much pressure in the modern day life, and everything kind of gets to them or gets to us. It's because of this, because we just refuse to recognize. So, yeah. So overwhelm for me, I think it's a pertinent word in this context.
Yeah, I mean, look, yeah, I would say underwhelmed, but it's overwhelmed, definitely. Overwhelm was one of the first words I came up when I was thinking about this. But there's lots of other things as well. I mean, you could go on forever, but here's a couple to think about. If you're overwhelmed, quickness to anger. Think how sometimes you're a bit short with people, and it doesn't take very much to light the fuse paper.
Yeah, but that's one of the symptoms of overwhelm.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just thinking.
So overwhelm is the umbrella.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
The anger is one of the symptoms of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Susceptibility to colds, flu, and other illnesses, as you say. It doesn't take a lot to knock us off kilter.
No.
Okay? That's why you should have some kind of system that you're working towards, or strategy you work towards every day. I mentioned about sleep and hydration. Well, they're two things of probably about 8 things that I do every day. And I make sure I do them every day. If I don't do them, if I don't get them right, then I suffer. Not badly, but I know I can feel it. Because what happens is I've got a lower mood, a lower commitment. Maybe a little bit of negative attitude might creep in there. Bit of frustration, maybe. Detachment. I mean, being detached is, really, I'm not bothered. And obviously that leads to a performance that's very much reduced. No production in what you're trying to do, and your outlook is cynical. I mean, at the end of the day, and this is what you've got to watch out for. Now, everyone can overcome overwhelm, and obviously your frenetic pace of life. Everyone can do that, but you have to make a conscious decision to do that.
Of course. Yeah,
You
you
know?
can't have somebody else do it for you.
Well,
Only you.
yeah, you can't. You can get help.
Yeah, you can get help.
Get
Yeah.
help. But what I'm saying
And
is, when it comes down to it, you've got to do it yourself.
yeah.
Because the level of intensity that we all feel or deal with is going to be different. Not everybody's going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, you have to understand that, especially if you're a leader of a team or something like that, or you're a boss at work, is that everybody's different. One person can deal with, give them a rocket up their backside, but another person doesn't deal with that very well. So you've also got to know what people are like and what they can deal with, And I don't know. Some people start their day with stress. Some people let it creep in over the day. So
Well, you mentioned about starting off the morning in the right vein, and the one word that for me that strikes a chord is dread.
dread,
Yeah,
yeah,
dread.
great
Yeah,
word.
I remember waking up in the morning. A period of time when I would wake up in the morning, I just feel dread.
Yeah,
And because that's you wake up in the morning and your first thought comes to your mind is, oh, I've got to go do this now, because you need to do something, but you just don't have the confidence that you can do it efficiently or effectively enough, or that you have the desire to want to do it, but you've got to go do it
yeah,
because you've been
yeah,
paid to do it, or you have a responsibility to do it. And that's dread, you know. So that builds that creates a feeling of anxiousness inside of you, and then you end up resisting that, and then it just turns into a vicious cycle, right? So dread is, if you're feeling dread first thing in the morning, that's one thing you've got to cut out of your life. You've got to figure out a way to overcome that feeling of dread, that feeling of anxiousness and stress, that where you just want to avoid your day that's coming, no matter what. You've got to overcome that. And I think one solution that I can impart that has worked for me most certainly is when you go to bed at night. All right, as you're going to bed, start visualizing and putting pictures in your mind and emotionalizing if you can. If you're not able to emotionalize on purpose yet, that's okay. You can get there, but start to at least visualize and put pictures in your mind's eye to begin with, that help you to move into the next day with the intention of what you want to see happen. So what that means is like this. So you're sitting in bed, or you're lying down in bed before you go to sleep. Just make sure you do it before you fall asleep. And then you start to picture what it is, that the outcome that you want to see the next day. So let's say you have a big task at hand, and every day maybe you've got a big task. Maybe you're CEO of a company, or you're a director, but you've never got to grips with certain aspects of your professional life. So you have big tasks to accomplish every day. Maybe you're just a manager and you've got big responsibilities every day. And this causes dread in your life. This causes this emotion of anxiety and stress. Okay, this vicious cycle that I mentioned. Then as you're lying in bed, you start to visualize the outcome you want to see happen. Okay, so what you're doing is you're setting up the energy before you fall asleep for your body to go to rest in that energy, in that vibration, so that when your body switches off and you wake up the next morning, that's the same energy you wake up with. Now, you may not wake up the next morning and think, hey, I'm going to go to achieve my goals and all this kind of stuff, and I'm going to have a fantastically successful day. No, you may still wake up the next morning and the day after and the day after that feeling a sense of dread still. Okay, but that's going to be your thinking pattern. That's going to be your habitual thinking. That's going to play that part. Not your energy, your energetic vibration, not your energy body. Your energy body will wake up with the intention of accomplishing the goal that you want to see happen. but your thinking may override that initially. But if you practice that long enough, you will wake up in the morning thinking everything's rosy. The day is great, and that's what will happen. And your thinking will change when you wake up in the morning. And all you got to do is just practice it, and it becomes a habit. And it's like anything in life. You want to change it, you've got to create a new habit. You've got to overcome it, the old habits with the new habits. And the easiest way I find for something like that, in this example, is to create the energy in your body the night before you go to bed. I mean, before you go to bed, the night before the day. So, and then just let it play out each and every single day like that, until eventually you wake up in the morning and the first thoughts that come into your mind are positive, empowering, and uplifting thoughts. And that will help you to overcome that dread first thing in the day, because that's going to, if like Paul and I said, I said the first hour of the morning is so key to the rest of your day. It really is. The first hour of your day it's such an important factor. Just if you don't believe me, go do your own research and go look online with top trainers and coaches, and they'll all tell you the same thing. All right, is that the first hour is so important to the rest of your day. You just got to start learning how to practice getting yourself into the right frame of mind, so that when you wake up in the morning, you're not stumping your toe on the bed corner. When you wake up in the morning, you're thinking good thoughts, positive thoughts, and you wake up feeling fresh. Possible solution in that.
I just want to show you a picture, right? Hang on a sec, and I'll describe it for people on the podcast. Let me just share screen. Just a second. Go to Facebook. Can you see that, Warren? Can you see the picture?
No, man.
You can't?
I cannot see nothing.
Okay. Let me
You can share it.
Oh, hang on. Let me that's better. Can you see that now?
Yeah, the C with the palm.
Okay. Now, how would you describe that?
Tranquil.
Okay. Yeah, that's how peaceful, calm. Yeah. Let me stop sharing for a minute. There's a reason I don't want to show.
Woo! You can see Paul's personal stuff.
I think we're back together now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now let me read what some person wrote, and I can't, as I say. Oh, no, hang on. There we go. This person wrote, I used to work with. Love her to bits. Not for me. Absolutely gorgeous view, I have to admit, but the idea of sitting doing nothing on the beach fills me with dread. Okay. Can't sit still for love nor money. Even worse if it was a tropical island with nothing to do apart from chilling in the sun. And she said, give me an old city, few ancient monuments and a cathedral to wander around in sunshine any day. Now, the reason I show that is because everyone's different. Because I when you put something on, I'm thinking for everyone to chill out and everything else. But everyone's got their own perception of what it is, what it would mean to them, and I found it quite,
of course,
quite interesting.
We all have our own unique perspective of the world, right? So
yeah, see, my thinking of that was, yes, I like to chill. Yes, I like calm, tranquility. All the things the words that would come with that. But I think I can read. I can keep my learning library going in the sun. Go for a run on the beach. Okay. Go and play volleyball. Go swimming. Go
diving.
Yeah, diving. Anything. See, so everyone's perception is going to be different of that. And I think. I just think it's important. So
I most certainly I grew up on the beach. Okay.
Yeah.
But for me, I wouldn't be able to just sit there on the beach and just suntan.
No. I go in little phases. I do little phases. I'm pretty patient, but it doesn't last forever.
No, of course not.
Sometimes it could last for 10 minutes. Some at the worst, it could be 2 hours.
Some people will just vegetate there for weeks like that.
That's what I'm saying. And good luck to them. If that's what they want to do, that's great. And
I was in a place in Egypt with a group of people. We were backpacking through Egypt, and we went to a place called Dahab. Dahab in the 90s is it's in the Red Sea. It was a real backpackers town. And you just go there and you just chill in the restaurants all day. And it's right on the water's edge in a bay. All the restaurants sit on the water. So like when the tide comes in, half the restaurant gets flooded. So you'd have to move back in. Okay. That's the type of place it is. And you just sit there, play backgammon, cards, drink sakhlab, and just tea, and just chill all day long. And some people would just chill. They wouldn't do anything. For me, I was like, no, I can't do this now. I've got enough backgammon and cards. I've got to go for a swim or something. And they had 2 dive schools and stuff like that there. So I had to do something. I couldn't just sit and do nothing. But other people would just sit and just chill all day long. I was like, okay, that's enough now. That's cool. But each to ourselves, right?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, it's the type of thing we could talk about all day. Obviously, we're past the 30-minute mark now. So want to sort of pull a little bit of a closure to it. But remember, we're all unique. We're all exclusive, really. We're all uncommon. No two people are alike. Yes, there's going to be similarities, but you're going to choose your life. You're going to choose what you like and dislike. And all we're saying is, if you are in a frenetic lifestyle, consider not being frenetic all the time.
Yeah,
that's it. Really,
there's going to come a time when there's going to be burnout somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether it be physical, mental, something's going to happen. Eventually. And it's going to catch up with you one day or the other.
That's right. Yeah. And look, if anyone needs any help at any stage, maybe you're so far gone you can't even think about what to do, give us a shout and we'll guide you in the right direction. The other thing is, obviously, if you found this useful, please share it. Please show the love. Prefer loves than likes, because Facebook don't particularly like likes, and comment. And we'll have a conversation with you. And very, very important. If you're on a podcast, and exactly the same, whatever is the equivalent is on there, and again similar on YouTube and other places like Rumble. So with that, you got anything to finish up with, if you want, Warren?
Yeah, I do actually. I've got quite a lot to finish up with. Another half an hour.
You carry on.
Look, another very clear sign that you are overwhelmed or that one day life is getting to you is indecision. All right. Now, again, indecision it's much like procrastination in many ways, but with indecision, we kind of lose faith and trust in ourselves to be able to make the right decision with things. All right. This causes us to move from one potential solution to the next. I've been at fault with this, and I realized that this was one of my signs of being overwhelmed with life, is that I would be doing one course after the next course after the next course without actually doing one and then applying the teachings from that and seeing if the results came about or what results may have come about. You understand? So this was one thing that I identified with, and eventually I got to the point, okay, enough now. Enough. I just need to take one of those and just start applying it into my life. And I did, and things started to change. All right. So indecision is one of those. Now, what you can do, the possible solutions for that is recognize it first of all. All right. Are you moving from one possible solution to the next and not finding any results because of it? Okay. Number 2 is prioritize your decisions. Now, this is something that Paul talks about a lot. Is every day he prioritizes his tasks. So prioritize your decisions. And number 3 is take a break. There's nothing wrong with taking a break in life. It really isn't. So many people feel that they need to continuously be moving forward. Yeah, and I find this is so indicative of the younger generation. They feel this unhealthy drive to continuously keep moving forward all the time. And I don't know where it comes from necessarily, whether it's parenting or us as our generation that's just put that on their shoulders or what, I don't know. But, just take a break. It's important to take a break. I'm getting tired from talking. Sorry. It's just, no, seriously, my energy levels are so low. The other one was rushing through life. Do you find yourself rushing through life all the time? Because when we do that, we do tend to procrastinate then. And procrastination is a big problem in today's society. It's a huge problem. And then we have absolutely, when we do take action, it's because we have to take action. All right. So it's, and then we're not actually doing anything that is worthwhile. You understand? It's kind of like multitasking, because we're rushing through life. We're doing this thing, and then we have to do that thing, and then we have to move to that thing. And then we're not actually doing anything in its entirety. We're not paying enough attention, putting enough energy and focus and respecting the things that we have to do. Because sometimes we have to do certain things. We can't always just do things we want to do. Sometimes we have to do certain things, but we're not respecting them enough to pay enough attention to one thing at a time. And then, as I said earlier, we don't have to complete it to its entirety from point A to point Z. Even if we go from point A to point D and then move on to the next thing and then do that, focus on that thing, and as far as we need to, and then go to the next. So rather than trying to do everything at once and then not actually putting any real true meaning behind it, and therefore we end up having to work harder because we have to do double the work, and we end up having to put more time into it, which costs us at the end of the day. All right. So again, possible solutions here. Take tasks one at a time. Take on tasks one at a time. All right. Our brains are not designed to multitask. We've just become conditioned to believe that multitasking is key, but it's not. Our brains are not designed to do that. Number two is embrace mindfulness by prioritizing relaxation in your life. And the third thing is to learn to recognize your limits. There are more solutions to it, okay, to something like this, to all of these, the same with indecision as well. But learn to recognize your limits. And then there's, obviously, I've mentioned it, procrastination. Then you have the inability to say no. I don't know why people feel that by saying no to somebody, they're being weak. I experienced this for so many years in the Middle East, where people just could not say no. You ask them to do something, and they'll say, "Yes, boss, I'll go do it." And they had no idea how to do something, and they wouldn't go ask somebody else or learn. They would just not do it. And then it's rather than say to me, "No, I can't," then you end up wasting whatever, a week and all this energy and everything like that. And I find that people just have not learned how to say no to other people. When sometimes we just need to know when something is the right time to do it and something's sometimes not the right time to do it. And then unfocused attention. Again, that's multitasking, indecision. It's not healthy. Unfocused attention is you're just not respecting yourself, and you're not respecting the people around you that you're either responsible for or that are depending on you, because you're not putting enough attention and focused attention on certain tasks and aspects of your life, not just tasks, but aspects of your life. It's very important.
Absolutely. Time blocking is a key. Time blocking. Set aside 2 hours.
Yeah. Time blocking.
And
there's a fantastic exercise which Paul and I learned recently, which are productivity blitzes. And if you want to learn how to do a productivity blitz, just reach out to us and we'll share with you the tools or the tips around that, the exercise, how you go about doing a productivity blitz. It's really powerful. I don't know why nobody ever showed me this before until recently, but out of all the mentors I've had in my life, not that many, but people that I have had in my life that have been mentors, managers of mine in the past and stuff like that, nobody ever showed me how to do a productivity blitz until recently, and it's really useful. It's a fantastic tool.
Behavior over results.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it basically is. Behavior over results. The results will come, but the behavior is more important.
Okay, I need to stop talking now.
That's unlike you, Warren. You must be ill. All right. So, do you want to take us out and say goodbye, and we'll get going?
Yeah, have a fantastic remainder to your week, folks. We appreciate you being here with us, taking your valuable time to hear our 2 pence worth of opinion and points of view of this world around us. We know things can be difficult, and things are most likely difficult for most of us listening and watching, and however you're partaking in this podcast at the moment. Things are challenging, and Paul and I do this because we care. And we really do care. I think I can speak for Paul as much as myself when I say this, is that, it's important for us that people are able to live healthy, happy, and prosperous lives. And we just want to have one small part of that aspect of your potential futures, so if there's anything else we can share with you that you would like to know more about, because we take the time to do the research, and if I don't know the information, I do the research, likewise with Paul. But if you want to know some more and you would like us to talk about something in particular, please let us know. So it'll help enrich everybody else's experience on this podcast.
Absolutely. Great. All right. Well, we'll see everyone next week on healthylife.tv next Wednesday. So with that, have a great day. See you all later. Bye.